Hello there, how are we doing today? So listen, resource wars are not just the underlying agendas of the leading nations in our world today. They've also been the major plot of Marvel productions and comics for some time now. The Transformers animated series and comics are right up this alley, with their own energy crisis forming the core of their story. Cybertron's energy reserves were on an all-time low, which is what led the Autobots and Decepticons to take the Earth flight, making it their newfound battleground, scrapping over the green planet's resources. But Transformers cannot power up using petroleum or any other earthly things that the regular people war over. So what did this robotic race need our resources for? Well, that would be Energon, their primary fuel source, which they cook up using other sources. In the Transformers animated series, Transformers are bound to Energon like bees to honey, and creating Energon is more than just a boring old worker bee job for them. They have a profound connection with it, because get this, the Transformers are literally made with it. They are Energon down to their metal bones and plasma. It's like their hydrocarbon. With the new Transformers animated movie, Transformers 1, just a month away, we may see Energon turning Optimus and Megatron into Transformers for the first time. So let us explore everything about this multi-talented energy source, without which Transformers could not be their kick-ass selves. Real quick before we get into it, we have a small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Now let's go ahead and transform your day.
Oh, check it out, Sky Glass.
What is Energon? Energon is a Transformer's bread and butter. They live for it, eat it, are healed by it, protect themselves with it, and use it as fuel for their ventures, which mostly revolves around making more Energon and discovering more sources of it on other planets. It's even used as Transformer money. Basically, the entire Cybertronian culture revolves around it. This overdependence on Energon may seem strange to some viewers, but it's really not. True Energon is Transformers' primal energy. It has birthed everything from the great cosmic bodies in the universe to our heavy machinery friends, the Autobots. Transformers themselves have Energon embedded within their very cells. It's the building material that forms their metal bodies, and even the electric sparks that zing them up with life. So imagine if we humans had one element that formed our skin, blood, muscles, electrical impulses, and every tiny thing within us. Well, that's true Energon for a Transformer. Naturally, it means everything to them. True Energon can induce some out-of-this-world transformations and make unique powers in Cybertronians. And we may get to witness some of this Origins dish in the Transformers 1 movie rolling out in September. But the resource was in short supply. The Transformers' long war had depleted Cybertron's reserves, and after a point, Transformers relied on the artificial stuff they created from Earth's energy sources for their living. While natural Energon was quite rare, it occurred in nature in many forms, such as solid ore, gas, and raw crystals. The Transformers refined it and stored it in liquid form inside Energon cubes for their needs. Did I mention that raw Energon is highly volatile? It can explode easily with a small slip of the Transformer hand, so the Energon makers and stockers need to be hella careful.
Kicker, that's amazing.
It's just started.
Energon, the fuel. How does it work? The story began with the pilot episode of the 1984 original animation series Transformers, in which Energon was depicted as the Decepticons' fuel. They recklessly stole the Earth's resources to make Energon. In the earlier episodes, the Energon cubes were then seen to convert a brown oil poured within them into Energon, a plasma-like liquid with a rainbow sheen. The Energon cubes indeed made pretty chilled work of the conversion process. You simply put whichever energy source tickles your fancy in them, and they'll convert it into concentrated liquid Energon within seconds. But the show was far from set in their ways and experimented loads with how Energon would be depicted and what it was for. It was first shown as an iridescent liquid glowing from the cubes stacked up in high pyramids. Then they moved to compressed cubes, which surely saved the Decepticons heaps of warehouse space. But the cube compressing thing was quickly dropped. Energon began to be stored in regular old roomy cubes. Also, it was no longer a rainbow-colored thing. By the second season's 8th episode, Atlantis Arise, it became a purplish pink, kind of a cough syrup-like. I guess the animators dug the pink look, as this is how it remained for most of the animated series. Even the idea that Energon was exclusively a Decepticon thing, while the good Autobots used recharging chambers to power themselves up, gradually faded out. By the end of the second season, Energon was shown as a universal Transformer fuel. The Autobots had even set up a city on Earth. The virtuous lot that they are, they used renewable natural resources to make up their reserves of Energon. By the third season, aliens were also using Energon in other galaxies. The Transformers comics, which also took off in 1984, didn't feature Energon to start with, but the comic's central premise also revolved around acquiring fuel and finding a way to convert it into something the Transformers could use, which is where Witwicky came into the picture. But inspired by the success of Energon storylines in the animated series, Energon was introduced to the comics in 1985, and the comics used the very same script for it, that Energon needed other earthly sources for its formation. They even used the sonic energy of a rock concert to do their thing, those wily robots. Energon, the natural element. In the 1987 comic, Transformer in 3D by Blackthorn Publishing flipped the script. Though this series was rife with weird continuity issues, for the first time it explored the idea of Energon being an element that existed in nature, though in the most bizarre way. True Energon was shown as something that came out of an alien's doo-doo liquid. I mean, what in the skunk farm was that? Okay, we're not discussing that notion any further. But this theme about true Energon existing in nature returned with a bang in the Beast Wars Transformers animated series of the mid-90s, where we saw fields of tall crystals, which were raw and unstable Energon, blue in color this time around. In Beast Wars, the big bad Megatron traveled back in time to find Energon deposits. He went real far back too, to prehistoric times, and the planet was teeming with blue crystalline grounds in such crazy abundance that Energon emitted dangerous radiation. It would overwhelm a Transformer within minutes. Megatron's Predacons and the Transformers who had come after them, Optimus Primal and his Maximals, had to change themselves into animal forms that could screen the intense radiation out. The blue crystals were so beautiful that blue became the new standard color for true Energon going forward. The pink stuff was cut from the show, and the artificial Energon also began to be shown as a bright green liquid. But Energon was not done evolving yet. Energon, prime source of life. The Japanese Beast Wars spin-offs took Energon's abilities to a whole other level, making it an energy source that allowed Transformers to take different shapes and forms, and gave them some seriously awesome powers. In this original cartoon series, high-ranking Autobots carried their own Energon sources. These sources were able to understand and react to emotions, and shaped crazy transformations in the carriers, giving them new forms and dripped-out combinations. This was an incredible development, and thankfully adopted by the 2004 Transformers Energon series, which also elevated Energon to its greatest peak, the primal energy that created all life level. This animated series showed Autobots working with humans to mine Energon over the entire solar system. As always, their conflict came by the way of Decepticons, who attacked them in order to capture enough Energon to revive the evil planet of Unicron. The 2007 live-action adaptation carried this premise. However, Allspark is the name used for the prime energy contained within the ancient relic version of the Energon Cube that the Decepticons wanted.
It took quite a beating, but that Energon star should help you get your strength back.
Is there anything I can do to repay you for all your help?
Key role of Energon. Original animated series timeline. Energon had been around for several millennia when the story of Transformers on Earth began to take shape. This became apparent when aerial bots were sent 9 million years into the past to Cybertron, which was still a healthy and happy planet. They found a small bot called Orion Pax working in the city docks, unloading Energon shipments. Energon was not only in use 9 million years ago, but also traded in great quantities, making it an important part of Cybertron's commerce. It was also a vital part of Transformers' lives on Earth. While Transformers need a lot of Energon to survive, like tens of thousands of astroliters per year, the synthetic variety seemed to be easily created. In their Earth years, the Decepticons and Autobots manufactured Energon from any and every resource, be it renewable sources, conventional electricity, oil, geothermal, or even ambiguous stuff like antimatter. There were also many ways in which Energon could be created. The first one we see is using Energon cubes, but the reaction was pretty intense when powerful things like antimatter were used for conversion. The pure oil sourced from a nation called Carbamia created a smelly form of Energon, called Super Energon, that would pump up the Transformers, using it with great strength. Energon was also used as money. Its first look as a currency was in the form of chips used by an alien species on an obscene gambling asteroid, Monachus, ruled by the crime boss Glycone. Energon's uses. Transformers use Energon ubiquitously in various situations. It's used as food, and they take Energon like their food by simply popping it into their mouths. They use them as tools, weapons, and of course as a quick power-up. Let us check out some of these tasty spreads the Cybertronians are packing. Energon food. Energon cubes. The Energon cubes aren't just used to store the thing. Transformers can even eat the Energon cubes, just like you would an apple. This is because Transformers have inbuilt Energon converters. Remember when your mom told you everything is good in moderation? Well, that goes for Transformers too, because if they consume too much Energon, they get over-energized or simply drunk on it. Energon Goodies. These miniature Cybertronian Energon goodies were little snacks that Transformers ate. There's some reference to these goodies being addictive, just like every Energon food. Energon goodies were quite a hit, though the Transformers mostly used them as a treat to tame the most aggressive creatures, like the deadly robots of Planet Quintessa. Orange Wedges. In Season 3, Energon was so widely used as Transformer food that it was on the menu at a diner that Sandstorm and Octane visited while stopping to fuel up at a neutral alien space station. They enjoyed some appetizers in the form of orange wedges. Drinks. Cybertronians often drink Energon from coffee mugs, as well as directly from an Energon cube. Energon Weapons. The Omicrons and Terracons, two groups that worked in a risky trade of making Energon tools and weapons in the later animated series, deserve a shout out. I mean, it's the equivalent of working with uranium. Thanks to staffers like them, Transformers had some Energon weapons to work with. Energon Axe. Optimus Prime summoned his iconic Energon Axe a couple of times. Still, the popular use of the weapon is in the original continuity, often referred to as Gen 1 continuity, when he used it in a duel with Megatron on top of Sherman Dam. Megatron had led the Decepticons to a raid on Sherman Dam, where Optimus Prime brought the fight to him. He also famously pulled it out in his brawl with Sentinel Prime in the film Dark of the Moon. He also decapitates his nemesis Megatron with it in the same fight. Mace. When Optimus Prime brought out his Energon Axe atop Sherman Dam, Megatron revealed his Energon Mace. While this was not his most commonly used weapon, it gained fame from this sick fight scene itself. After spitting out some Cybertronian trash talk, Optimus and Megatron came to blows with their respective Energon weapons, but Megatron couldn't phase Optimus. As luck would have it though, Spike Witwicky yelping for help caught Optimus Prime's attention for one costly moment in which Megatron shoved him off the dam. Chain. Though not exactly a weapon, Energon chains are a great way to incapacitate the enemy. However, these chains need a gun to power their generator. When the Decepticons defeated the Autobots in the Great Falls battle, Megatron had the Autobots tied up all over with Energon chain, but they wasted their chance and didn't destroy the Autobots, as the Dinobots arrived just in time for a rescue. Energon Stars. Gleaming Energon stars or Energon chips could be attached directly to the Transformers in the Energon cartoon. They were nifty power banks that stored Energon and could produce weapons when needed for the Transformer who wore them. They could also regenerate damage suffered by a Transformer. The ones made by Omnicons for the Autobots were a delicious strawberry color, whereas the Terracons variety was green and looked not half as yummy. Tools and machines. Energon Infuser. An Energon Infuser is a super handy medical device that can be directly injected into a damaged Transformer part to reinforce it with fresh Energon. It's shaped like a Glock and is used on the affected wound like one too. Energy Transfer Machine. An energy transfer machine, made up of a large contraption connected to several Transformer-sized glass cylinders, was featured quite early on in the first series. It was Decepticon tech that could use the food in Sections 8 to make Energon. Marvelous Verdict. Energon has been used by the Cybertronians and other alien species for many millennia. While its portrayal and even history aren't exactly presented with a smooth storyline, its role has been expanded through the subsequent animated series incredibly, and its importance in Cybertronian life is now undeniable. It went from being a highly coveted fuel to start with, to being their base life material, an inseparable part of Transformers. And if Energon's long resume is still weak soup for you, then the following fact will change your mind. Energon came from Primus, the creator and god of Transformers. It was a gift of energy that comprised life itself, not just Cybertronians, but also cosmic beings, planets, and stars. While Transformers is a fun animated series with live-action adaptations that are just as entertaining, the deeper theme of the series is profound. It's about resources receding, and a race having to separate from its planet because they messed around with it too much, leading them to a grim state where they're forever left digging anything and everything just for a chance to survive. Food for thought. Well, that's it from us, guys and girls. If you like this video, please smash the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye for now.